Hey YouTubers, I wanted to do a startup video on this crazy blazer that's been sitting here. I messed around, started it one time yesterday and let it warm up, but I didn't want to sell this as a cold start or a long start or none of that. I wanted to be honest with you. I mean, it sat here from, I'd say early March of 2022 until yesterday with the transmission out of it, and I just got to looking at it and I was like, oh, I've never started this thing with an open down pipe before, because I have, just in case you guys aren't aware, I run a full exhaust, that 4-inch exhaust that goes all the way and dumps right in front of the 8.8 rear end. It's got 4 stainless steel bullet mufflers on it, which now I know that straight exhaust, which basically gives almost no restriction, does add, I think, 32 pounds of weight to the vehicle. But I had never started this thing with just an open down pipe. Let me walk over here so you guys can kind of see what we're looking at. I've got that 3.5-inch to 4-inch pipe coming off the back of the turbo, and then it dumps just literally right on top of the frame, fully, heat wrapped and all that. And I've got my Holley O2 in there, and then my O2 meter that's in my gauge pod on my pillar, so I can kind of compare the two and see if there's something going wrong. But it was kind of funny because I had sat out here and looked at this thing and had really lost interest in it. Got about halfway, about 3/4 of the way through buying all the parts and setting up the rebuild for my Turbo 400. And I literally just lost the interest to touch it. I was like, man, I'm so sick of working on this thing. I don't want to mess with it. I have been having a lot of health issues, family stuff. I just literally didn't want to work on it. So I thought, well, I'll go ahead and hook up the battery charger, make sure the battery's still good. It was still holding 12 volts, so it hadn't even lost any charge, which is a huge improvement if anybody's watched the channel long enough. I had a horrible time with this thing killing batteries and alternators until I got that all figured out. So for the people that aren't familiar with this Blazer build, I built this 4.8 liter LS, I don't know, 5 years ago or something. It's let me think, it's a 2002 4.8/53 block with a 2002 4.8 crank. I used the flat top pistons and Gen 3 rods out of a 2000 4.8 out of a Tahoe. The cylinder heads are ported big valve 862s. I think their intake runner size is 212. I'm pretty sure I set it at 212 because I was trying to keep the velocity up and not have a real doggy driver. It has an Elgin 1838P, aka sloppy stage 1, aka trick flow 216, 220 cam. Since Elgin makes all those cams and everybody puts their name on it, it's all the same thing, so I'm not really too much worried about it. It's got the Comp 918 single springs. Let me think, all stainless steel valves. I put in I can't remember the name of the company right now, but it was like the original solid bushings that you could put in your stock LS rocker arms. So it has the trunnion upgrade in the rocker arms, hardened thick wall 1-piece chromoly push rods. It's got an LS2 timing chain in it with a bolt-on Mellings timing chain guide setup. It's called a no drill. It's real similar to the LS2 guide setup, but you don't have to drill anything on your block, and it'll fit on a Gen 3 block, no problem. It's just a GT45 turbo, LS3 crate engine, exhaust manifolds that were turned around backwards and adapted into a front crossover hot side. I'm not sure how you say that. EMUSA 3-inch by, I think, 30 or 31 wide. Intercooler. I don't know. I mean, it's got decap truck injectors that flow 72 pounds an hour. What else do I got on here? It's got a real Walbro 525 liter per hour pump, -6 lines, feed and return. Right now, it has no transmission in it. Normally, it has a fairly decently built Turbo 400. But I wanted to do a startup video on it because I was absolutely shocked how loud it is without that exhaust on there. So let me see if I can get this thing to fire up. performance and the throttle response of the 216 220 cam. In all honesty, I almost wish I'd have gone with the 1839P, which is the 220 224, because of the 112 lobe separation angle, it would have a lot more chop. gets angry if you rev her up. I've never heard it sound so aggressive. But that little short downpipe really makes it sound cool. I won't sit here and bore you guys. I know some people like to let their cars run forever in a day, which I will let this come up to full temperature, clear it out and all that before I turn it off. Noticeable idle to it, but not a real distinct chop. I have noticed in this colder temperatures, the idle air-fuel ratio, it's hunting around like 15.2, 15.3, and then it'll kind of bounce down into the high 14s. So it's got a little bit more of an idle fluctuation than it normally does. So I'm just kind of letting it do its thing. Got a little bit of an exhaust note to it, but it ain't very, you can only hear that little baby chop out of the pipe. It's nothing super noticeable. Definitely going to have to figure out what that stupid belt chirp is. Well, there she is. She's all the way up to running temperature, so I went ahead and shut her off. She's running pretty good. I know it's, I've never, since I built this combo, I've never changed the spark plugs in it. So I'm assuming they're probably needing to be changed, and it needs to be driven more than anything. Because, the majority of the run time on this engine, which is way under 2,000 miles, probably under 1,500 miles, because I haven't really driven it hardly at all. Probably could use an oil change and probably a fresh set of plugs, which I'll probably do all that before I take it to the track or anything next spring. But, I don't want to sell it yet. But I just kind of lost interest in messing with it. But hearing it run, as anyone might suspect, gives you a little bit more motivation. But, but she's still alive. The heart of the Blazer is still strong. Now we just got to get the suspension set up to be able to handle this power. Finish building the new, better, and improved Turbo 400 for it. Throw in that custom PTC converter and hopefully get this thing back on the road. Little by little, we'll hit on it. Do some upgrades to the front and rear suspension. Still trying to get the want to finish putting my Turbo 400 back together. I know I left you guys kind of hanging on those videos, and I do apologize. So please like, share, and subscribe. Tell me what you think about that little 216, 220 cam. Thanks, guys.